Ah, yes. It is the first show of 2017.
Oh, yeah.
The new year has come, and it's the same shit as every other year because a year is an arbitrary, subjective thing that's made up by humanity to try to count time. So, yeah, that was my big fucking intro for this bullshit. Anyways, this is the Nothing Sacred show for the 4th of January 2017.
What's the first month of the year, nigga?
Hey, fuck you, asshole. I am Cruise Control.
I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And
I'm Kraken.
We have the Kraken with us for New Year's
we got Kraken
treat.
rolling with us, man.
And that maybe a trend coming up for this year, because
for the new year, man, we might hear a little more from the Kraken.
Well,
right?
not even just from the Kraken, from other people that we can have on. You know, like I'm thinking maybe Jerkman or something else at some point. You know.
Well, yeah, there's been a few people that have actually asked me about that, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely. I definitely plan to come on more often. And also for the adoring fans that love to comment, I just want to say that you're a cutie, and I can't wait to meet you.
By the way, I'm going to apologize in advance. If I sound like Dr. AIDS cough tonight, getting over a cold, so I'm sitting here with this big thing of water, trying to sip on it, hoping it'll hold out for the show.
I think you both are a little bit ticka, a little bit sick, and that's really one of the great things about not doing this in the same place.
Yeah, we don't blow our fucking AIDS all over.
I don't have to be the peanut butter in the AIDS sandwich, so it's pretty awesome. You know, I don't have to, because I dodged that bullet this weekend.
Oh yeah, hey man, because Kraken, you got sick too, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did.
A little bit, yeah, sick, which is, I'm surprised I didn't get sick. Well, I got sick in a different way, because we'll talk a little about a couple things, especially from New Year's night, a couple of things, observations of certain types of people.
Yes, behaviors.
So I guess we can start. First of all, the trip was awesome. I had a great time
Trip
hanging
was
out,
great,
doing
man.
great stuff. Doing the same stuff, basically, just drinking a shit ton of brown sugar and forgetting half of what happened. But hey, that's what happens when you're
Hey, but that party was pretty dope. I gotta say, man.
It was a dope party. There was a lot of the resort was through a big ass nice. Well, it wasn't big. It was nice amount of people, perfect amount of people actually. And
you know that fucker's in the wrong line of work, dude. He should have a resort. You know what I'm saying? The way he runs his shit.
Oh yeah, he's like, welcome here. This is here. Oh man, we had so much good. There was so. Dude, I looked at because I threw a bottle away the next day, and there were like these bottles, like these glass bottles that were kind of square.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that can't be tequila because there's like 4 of them. But yeah, it was definitely tequila, and it snowed on New Year's Eve. Fucking
Hell
snow on New Year's Eve. What more could you ask for on a
Very
New Year's
lovely.
Eve? But
and of course, Shane was throwing snowballs at me and shit.
oh yeah.
That might be one of the reasons I got sick. Well, that and I was standing out in the fucking snow like a dumbass.
Well, no. See, the thing is, cold. That's it's bacteria and viruses that get you sick, man. You don't get sick. The cold might propagate the sickness around, but you're not going to get sick by someone throwing a snowball at you, man.
Yeah, Max, it was Pine Martin spitting down your throat while you were sleeping. Remember?
Is that what it was? God damn.
It was. Yeah, you didn't taste the scent of lilies and roses?
No. I thought it was just my natural smell.
Yeah.
No, your natural
Lily-
smells tends to come from a waste department. All right, it's pretty much everything left over from 2016.
And,
Oh hell yeah!
And it's,
all the shit.
and it's funny because there was a picture posted, and no one else posted on this because I didn't want to make it a big deal. But we're all standing there, and it's like it's all of us hanging out, and Colin looks like Kraken looks like whatever, standing there with his hands on his hips. Max is smiling there, sitting there, and there's this big motherfucking stain
Where?
on the front of your
on
shirt.
Maxwell's shirt.
It was on my shirt.
Oh yeah, dude. And I was like, that's got to be my monitor because I said I need to clean my shit. Because I look at another picture and it's there. I'm like, oh, dude.
Oh
Yep,
wow.
that is.
Well, to be fair, I look like I'm fucking possessed by a demon of dance. I look like I'm about to break down and speak in tongues at the same time. So,
But in fairness, Max, okay, I do have to say, dude, in these pictures, which is kind of motivating me even more, I look as pregnant as you do, man. I'm looking as preggo as you, man. I'm like 3rd trimester, ready to burst.
See,
Craigies,
that's not the thing that's scary. the thing is the stains. Like, how many other fucking things do I wear that have stains on them that I just don't know? You know what I'm
No,
saying?
it's okay, Charlie Brown. You just gotta like overcome the differences. That you
Yeah,
have.
dude.
Shit.
You know?
I'm trying to remember what shirt that even was. I think it was like the sweatshirt thing I got or something.
Yeah, probably
What's your
from
Charlie
like
Brown shirt, Max?
probably from like
Was it?
1997 or something that you had that thing. So
I don't fucking know,
yeah,
man.
you don't even give a shit. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. I just
no,
think it was fun. I don't care either way. No one cares. We all had a good
No,
time.
it was a great night. Actually, I do want to jump on that though. Like, my goodness, like I definitely look like the Pillsbury Doughboy just smoked a huge bowl. All right, I'm definitely trying to become a little more health centric this year. Not a resolution, because fuck that shit. I'm sure you guys already had your talk about that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
a
Yeah.
Not a resolution. I was actually starting this before the new year began. But I'm definitely gonna try and clean up a little bit, just be a little cleaner, a little greener.
Yeah. Well,
Well, and I'm trying. It was funny though when I got sick, when I caught that cold, like the last day I was there. I was like, well, the one good thing about this is maybe I'll lose a little weight.
you won't eat. You'll be forced
You know, it's
to
bad when
frickin'
you
not.
try to
Yeah.
look at the bright side of a flu or cold or something as, hey, maybe I'll lose weight.
That's Maxwell's new diet program. he
Get
gets
sick.
he just
Contract a
gets
cold on
himself
purpose.
food poisoning
Oh, yeah.
and just vomits his life out. Like, oh, I'm losing 30 pounds. Blah.
Hey, you know what, dude? When I got alcohol poisoning about a month or so ago, that was the same thing. I thought, well, at least I'll lose a little weight here.
Yeah, when I got it 2 days ago, I thought the same thing.
I mean, to be fair, last time I got alcohol poisoning, I'm pretty sure I dropped 10 pounds in 2 days. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
man. The
great
weight
way to do
loss.
it.
So
The
there
alcohol
was a
poisoning
positive side
diet.
to
It
all
was
the
totally
poop.
worth the projectile vomiting and cold shakes and nausea for the course of a week. It was awesome.
Exactly. But you know what? Hey, at least you lost weight. You're gonna be healthier.
We were brown sugar warriors, man. At that point, is what we were.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You guys were. Jesus, you guys must have cleaned out like 30 brews over the course of the
we
weekend.
we did our part. That's for sure. We certainly contributed
yeah.
to the
Well,
madness.
remember I was drinking those other things too. Those what were they called?
The red chair.
Red chairs. Yeah, yeah. Those I was drinking those too. Fuck, I was drinking everything, man. Fuck.
See, I stayed pure. I took a more bohemian approach to the New Year's festivities.
Yes, I see you did. And
you were drinking. I don't know. Were you even drinking? I don't. Were you drinking tequila? What the hell were you drinking? Anything?
yeah, we're
Not much of anything,
Yeah.
honestly. I think I had 5 beers over the course of the entire weekend.
I think I had
Really?
5 beers over a course of about 2-hour period on Friday
exactly.
evening.
Yeah, I was caught up with the other varieties of Organ's Delights.
Yes, the varieties that are now officially, I believe, available in the lovely Silver State.
Well, here's the thing, man. We saw an email at work today, and this is one thing I kind of wanted to bitch about too. And I'm reading this email, and it's basically saying that a marijuana card is not a prescription for marijuana. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. What about if you got Vicodin or fucking Naproxen or some other fucked up shit in your system? And that, as long as you have a prescription, is okay.
Of course it is. Yeah.
But yet marihina, is evil still.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
that's all going to loosen up because if anybody knows out there, over the course of last year, Nevada voted to legalize it for recreational use.
Right. But what
Along
they
with
said
a
in this
few other
email.
states.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, man. What did you say, Kraken?
Just saying, along with a few other states as well, happened to legalize this past year.
Yes, but
Yeah.
if you go in for a job and you take a drug test and you have marijuana in your system, like
Oh yeah, you're screwed.
if
Yeah.
you had used, say, in the last 30 days or whatever,
No,
it shows
no,
up.
it's not. It's longer than that, depending on what test they use. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Well, see, the problem that it is, and if I could get political for just a little bit of a moment, is that
Yeah, absolutely.
it's still legal on the federal level. On the federal level, it's still recognized as a class 1 drug, which is up there with heroin and cocaine and such, because it's just hardcore and completely
It's as dangerous as those
Yeah,
drugs,
it
man.
causes
Yeah.
people to be happy
Wait-
and not give a shit about corporate lifestyle. So that, huh?
Yeah, well, so it's a funny story because even though on the statewide it's legal, corporations, of course, work on the national level as well, and corporations are just as happy kicking your ass out for smoking a joint as the federal government is. So even though you might have cancer and your spine's twisted backwards and the only thing that can help you get through the day is a blunt, you're shit out of luck if you're going to try and find work that way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That'll all evaporate over time as well. It's just right now that people are scared still. But as more and more things, I think that's going to change a little bit too because
I don't know. This is a long time to be scared of some shit.
Well, I have to agree with Maxwell. Sorry to interrupt.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like I said, just to get a little bit political again, with Trump, our new lord and savior of the country, who's going to make America great again. Not that he's particularly disinclined against marijuana, because I know from what he said, which I know is obviously so 100% true, but from what he said, he doesn't really care about that. However, the guy he put in charge of handling all that drug shit has a huge hard-on for keeping marijuana in the dark ages. So we might see a bit of a regression depending on how his candidacy goes, or his run, I should say.
I actually do not believe that's going to happen for one simple reason, which runs pretty much everything. Money. And they are making a fuck ton of money.
I was going to say, yeah, they got to be making money off that shit, right?
Good gracious, especially here. Yeah, they're making a shit ton. And Vegas is going to make a shit ton of money from all those people coming from the other closed up butthole.
See, this is the problem with these old fucking Jarlies, though, man, is they don't, their old way of doing things is the way to make money, and to deviate from that is no good because, hey, it's been doing it for them. So why break the blueprint?
Well, and also you got all these agencies that are structured around the drug war and structured around that as well.
Billions of dollars, because you have to remember, it's not just marijuana itself. Of course, it's keeping prisons full, and most prisons in America are privately owned money churning machines, and of course, it's huge for the police force and how they get their budget and how they stay to be close to a military force, despite the fact that they're not supposed to be. It's really tied into a lot of it, and marijuana is the one chain holding all of that together. It's not cocaine or heroin or meth, because fucking most people don't do that shit. You know what I mean? Most people know that shit's crazy. The only people that are on that is addicts. But marijuana, of course, is such a huge market because people know that there's nothing wrong with it, and they know that there are benefits that the federal government can capitalize on that. It's like making it's like the prohibition when they made alcohol illegal, I'm sure they made tons off that too. They just realized it was more profitable to switch around eventually.
It's just funny, they're really fighting this shit hard. I mean, prohibition wasn't, that didn't.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. We weren't around during the time. I think it was pretty serious though. I mean, there's a reason speakeasies existed, it was because it was pretty. I think they cracked the whip pretty hard back then as well. I think it was during the 20s, 1920s?
Yeah, in the 20s, that's when they were all the bootleggers and all that shit. But, by the 30s or 40s, they loosened up on that shit?
Mm-hmm. Eventually, yeah, people just kept pushing and pushing, and, lo and behold, democracy won out, and money won out, obviously, and, hey, that's why people are drinking and driving and doing all the things.
The problem is they're not thinking like, hey, you could make a fuckload of money, like we were just saying earlier. Instead, they're just looking at, hey, well, this is our way of making money right now. We don't want to look into anything else because this is, what's always worked for us. So let's just roll with it.
We'll see how it works, though. I mean, it's made a ton of money already for Oregon. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can only hope for the best and, do our part wherever we can. Anyways, so, yeah, marijuana, whatever. It's good. Hopefully it gets around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of someone who probably, I want to bring up a irk from the New Year's party, and of course,
okay.
Talk about this just because I've just been thinking about the certain people's just not necessarily lack of social skills. I guess lack of social skills, but lack of the need, and this is kind of like an R-Dog thing, man.
You're gonna talk about the rapey ass fucker, huh?
I don't want to go over all the details too much. I mean, basically, the whole night the theme there was control and manipulation.
Yeah.
And he does it every time we hang out with this fucking dude. This guy comes over. He's a neighbor who comes over. Every time we fucking hang out with this guy, he does something to try to manipulate shit to happen his way or try to force things and just ask weird questions. And the conversations are just they're fucking
But
maddening,
his
man.
reasoning is off. It's not like he's trying to get something specific. He just wants to control somebody.
Yeah, like for instance, the first thing, of course, was well, there's a couple things. There's an incident outside with a jacket. Girl was cold, and I'm sorry, most girls do not want to wear a stranger's jacket, right? No, it's just not, most people wouldn't. Well, he kept pushing his jacket, like holding it out. Here, you can wear mine. And she was about to take it. And this is a little later on, of course, after things started. I don't know why I'm bringing this up at first, because I think the other thing happened before that.
Yeah, my thing.
There are two other things, actually, a couple of things. But I actually, like, I don't usually get involved in this shit, but I put my hand out and, like, pushed his hand back. Like, dude, because she was about to, like, just take it because he was like, no, take my jacket, you can wear my jacket.
Because he was so insistent.
And I was like, and since she was probably like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I was like, no. I was like, we'll go inside, because that's kind of creepy, first of all. Like, come here, take it, wear my jacket. First of all, because she didn't come here there alone. But it's just that need to force someone to do something.
Right.
And so you have a little story about that too, Max.
Well, here's what it was with me, is I was talking to him about chewing, and I had my chew cup there. And he was like, man, you got to start smoking cigarettes. It's healthier. And I was like, I don't want to smoke cigarettes. He's like, really, honestly, man, smoking cigarettes would be better for you than chewing. And I'm just like, nah, man, that's not what I do. I'm not into cigarettes. They bother, they burn my eyes, they burn my nose. I don't dig it. So then he's like, well, here, man, let me get you a better chew cup. And I'm like, nah, man, it's good. And he's like, no, that looks like throw up. And I'm like, so? I'm not drinking it, I'm spitting in it. So he's like, I'm going to get you I'm going to doctor up your cup. So I don't know what the fuck he went and did, dude, but he brought this cup back that was just, I don't even know what was in that bitch. Do you know? Any idea?
No idea. I mean, I didn't really pay attention. I was kind of just, because at that point when he brought it back, I was focusing on the crackers he was forcing into your face for you to eat.
Well, that was the second part of this, because he brought this cup that was like full of liquid, and then he's like, here, man, have some crackers. And I'm like, what? He's like, crackers. I'm like, I have a dip in my mouth. He's like, come on, man, eat these crackers. And I'm like, no, I have a dip in my mouth. I'm not going to eat, I said, I'll spit it out later, and then I'll have some crackers. And, yeah, dude, he was just very rapey about it. And I think you said something to him then, too.
Yeah, I was like, dude, chill. And then later on the night, he goes, we're going to play a game, man. I'm like, yeah, we're playing the dice game. He goes, nah, we're going to play another game first. I'm like, motherfucker. No. I said, no, we're not. We're not playing another game first. We're playing the fucking dice game because it's fucking the Ranger Resort. And we're playing the fucking dice game. This is what he wants to play. Is going to play. No, because what he was trying to do is get everyone to play a different game first, so that he could feel awesome, cool for having the ability to change the course of the whole night. Ugh.
I think for him it's an ego boost or something. I don't really know, dude. But he was real. All right,
it's time for me to step in as a devil's advocate here.
Please do.
Just a little bit, just to bring some insight into the situation. I was there as well, and while I don't condone his actions in any way, shape, or form, because it's just it's being an asshole, I can see where those actions come from. And it seems to me like they came from a point of a huge level of insecurity. All right, and that's not something that you just stumble onto. Like, oh shit, I'm insecure. That's something that you're raised into. That shit accumulates over time. So for that person in particular, probably could have been, years of feeling neglected and ignored. So the only way that they can feel part of a group or involved is by wedging themselves into a situation, because they don't know better.
See, but that's how you alienate other people. So,
oh, sure. Like I said, I don't condone it, but I'm saying, like, I don't think it was an ego thing for them. I think I think for that person, they were acts of desperation, okay, because they didn't know how to involve themselves in a natural way. The only way they felt they know how to do it was to force themselves into the situation. Do I agree with what they did? No, absolutely not. It just sets you up for more disappointment. But I do think it came from a place of vulnerability.
Of course. Well, yeah, but that's what ego is. Ego is like, it's part of his ego to feel, because if he would have gotten everybody to play that game, it would have been like, yeah, I do feel good about myself. So, and regardless of that, I understand where you're coming from, and it may have been from whatever happened in his life, but that's your job as a human being, is to deal with shit you have in your life and handle that shit, and at least in a somewhat manner where you can just hold off. If you don't get the hint at all at some point, well, then you're, at some point you gotta go, okay, well, I've come over several times and these people have gotten annoyed with me sometimes. What am I doing here?
Right. Well, you know what? And you're right. You used a relative of mine as an example of this. And it's like, this person can't understand, why people don't want to be around them. It's like, well, dude, look at your actions. You got to understand, okay, it's like, there's times where, all right, like, cruise control. You told me sometimes, yeah, man, leading you is a pain in the ass sometimes. So I get it, because there are times where people don't want the responsibility of, let me walk this motherfucker around, let me show him this, that. So I understand why they're that way. You know what I mean? Where this person can't and doesn't know how to correct that behavior at all. Yeah,
and if it was just like him being kind of clueless and stuff, but he was doing shit like because I'm in Oregon, so I was out there, having a little fun with the cartridges and everything else. I was, going around, and the smoke was flying. Basically, it wasn't just fog in the air. Which is funny how I still kind of like, hey, I don't want to talk about that, but every fucking time he'd be just vulturing, man. It's like, like he'd come out, he'd see people go and come out, and then like, hey, where? And then at one point he goes, well, I didn't get anything. It's like, so? Too bad. You weren't here. Well, I think I should.
You say he would take it and pass it on to someone, and then say he didn't get anything?
So it was like, what? What do you, like, you don't deserve a hit because we're smoking or doing something. You don't deserve it. It's just, if I miss it, you miss it.
Well,
I mean, just so you two. Well, I didn't get one, so you all had two, and I'm like, well, then pull out your own shit, then, dude. Whatever.
Well, you should have hit it while it was being passed to you. Yeah. Which he didn't do, and then he's talking about he didn't get a hit. Like, motherfucker, was in your hand.
And the thing is, it's not like, and here's part of the problem with most people in most situations, and I think this is going to lead great into the next part of that night, which is a little bit of a SMJ-age, or a lot of it. Well, it was like a conversation, but he's not necessarily a bad person. I mean, he's kind of like, he's the type of person who grates on me fucking just badly, like just, but I can tell he's not necessarily a bad person. He just, he just kind of doesn't necessarily, like you said, Kraken. He might just be desperate for certain things, or he maybe a total, like, maybe he just feels like he needs to have something if something's there. Like, I need it.
Well, it's a complete lack of self-awareness. Remember that most people don't walk around and go, I'm a douchebag. I'm a douchebag.
No, of course not. Yeah.
No, what they do is and they don't even justify their actions, because they're not seeing any wrongdoing in the first place in which they would have to justify it. All right? People don't just stumble upon self-revelation on the daily, okay? You don't just wake up one morning and go, oh, fuck, all right? What have I been doing my whole life? It takes other people who are preferably close to you and who can discuss it to you in a way that doesn't hurt you and makes you understand. But it takes people who are close to you to say, hey, listen, I've been noticing you've been doing stuff like this lately. Are you okay? Because it was coming off as kind of rude. I just want to make sure we're on the same level. That's had to happen to me. All right, there are behaviors I've had in my past that I'm not proud of, and it took people close to me to be like, "Hey, dude, do you realize what you're doing?" And then after really thinking about it, I was like, "No, I had no fucking clue."
Yeah.
And then the revelation came, and I'm like, "Wow, okay." Like, and I changed. All right, and it was a process, but it took other people's help. All right, so hopefully this guy can get that sort of assistance.
Maybe,
well, it's just funny that, because from what they were saying at the resort, they didn't want him coming back over. They actually, were like, we set it up so he couldn't come back over, or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know about specifics on that. All I can say is, is that it's a combination of two things. It's self-awareness and willing to accept criticism and advice from other people. And those are sorely lacking in just the way people are raised at this point, because it's all about being special and oh my God, your feelings were hurt, and oh, your self-esteem. See, self-esteem is a sham. It's bullshit. See, self-esteem is an idea. Self-confidence is different than self-esteem.
Right.
You can be self-esteem is like, hi, I'm great at this test. We're all great at this test, and you get a 75. While other people are getting 90s, but you think you're just up there with the 90s because, well, self-confidence is I know what I'm doing here. I have confidence, and so it's a combination of two of those things. So, and maybe it's part of it might just be, and this is another thing too, that he might just be an asshole. I mean, some
Could
people
be.
are,
And some people are. I'm just saying, like for anyone watching, if you ever feel alone or outcasted, or if you ever feel like you're not quite fitting in, there's either two things going on, okay? There's something three things. Either A, there's something you're doing that you don't realize. B, you don't mesh with the people you're hanging out with.
Exactly.
Or C, it's all in your head and you need to talk with someone about it, because that happens as well. It's good to look at your actions and just kind of question yourself from time to time, because it helps you evolve as a person. All right, you're going to become more you, but in a way that's good. Not that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I'll give you a positive example.
Maybe there's something you're not 100%. Because I always say there's two kinds of weird people. There's the weird people that just embrace their weirdness and are like, fuck it, I'm me, and either accept it or don't. Then there's the other weird person that tries so hard to fit in, they just can't. And they're trying to be a square peg in a round hole, and they're never going to fit in because they won't embrace who they really are and just say, look, that's just me. And you either like it or leave it.
And I will say a good thing, just because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't all bad. Like, he did introduce a game that is actually a phone game, and it's actually really freaking fun. It's almost like the $10,000 pyramid game. I don't know what exactly it's called, but it's a phone game where you put the phone up to your head, you guess words and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty fun game, a party game. But just the overall vibe was that. And like I said, it's kind of like you don't want to criticize too much because you don't know the past. And this kind of brings you up to the other thing because Max was on an island for a while there. I think about a half an hour or so. With this lovely
the
lady.
Island of, what do we call that?
And she's a lovely lady, and she was the island of the SMJ, Isle of SMJ.
SMJ. Well, in back of my mind, I was kind of like, even though,
Yeah. Because you're fucking...
Maxwell's like, hey.
Yeah, because you're fucking...
I'll suck this up. What the fuck?
Yeah, because you'll suck this up.
I'll suck it up.
Well, you're more than just an attention whore. You're all kinds of whore.
Yeah,
Maxwell.
you
are.
Oh,
yeah, that's just me. I'm just an all-around whore.
And so basically, this person was talking to you, and she's an older person. Not too old, but older. And go ahead, Max. I'll let you explain it.
Well, and you probably saw more of it, but basically she was, like telling everybody what a great guy I am and was making sure that I heard her. And then at one point she came over and was like sitting next to me on the couch and like holding my hand on her leg. And just we were having this big, long, deep conversation and shit.
Yeah, about you. I just heard you talk. Well, sometimes, I want to be seen as, and it was like one of those equal conversations, but she wasn't really hearing you. So.
Well, that was the thing. It was like I was explaining, like, no, there was something she said. Oh, no, you know what it was? Her comment was, so what exactly is the matter with you?
If I were there or Kraken, we would have kept her there sitting there for another half hour to an hour saying, all right, see, we're the type of person that will tell you, we're the type of person that other person needed. Like, hey, dude, you're a fucking... No.
Yeah. But whereas with me, I'm going, well, the only thing that's the matter right now is I've got wood.
I didn't know. Now that changes the whole fucking thing. Oh,
that's
my
disgusting.
God.
Completely destroyed the conversation before we could even get started.
Oh, man, dude. That's you, dude. That's Maxwell.
The foundation has been ruined by wood.
Seriously. You're like, hey, what's the matter with me?
Should it be something harder like concrete?
You're like, hey. Fuck, we should have threw you in the fire, dude, that night to keep it going. But seriously, the whole thing is she's trying to be all nice and you're all like, hey.
Well, actually, you know, what's funny, despite Maxwell being fucked up in the head as per usual, is that actually kind of proves the point I think we're getting across, though, is because the person in question is not a bad person. In fact, she's a sweetheart. She
No.
has a very loving soul. But the problem in question is personal space, and it's not just physically; it's also mentally and verbally as well. Is like, what else is Maxwell supposed to think when you're getting all up in personal space? He's not going to be thinking, oh, I'm a tard, and this person's just being extra nice to me. He's gonna think like any rational person would be,
Right.
thinking and like going, oh, I might get some tail because this person's being unusually intimate. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's it. I mean, you got my hand on your leg. You're holding on to it. You know,
Yeah.
you're touching my face. You know, all kinds of shit. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really what it means to be like Sidon McJesus. Is it's not just being obnoxious, it's having good intentions and coming across in a creepy or intimate manner that you don't necessarily realize. All right.
Right. Most of the factors, they're taught are thrown out the window. Like, would you do that to a sighted person? Hell no.
Never. No one's gonna get up. No one's gonna like sidle up to a person and start rubbing their leg.
And she
unless
was
they have
sidled. I was like,
intentions.
what the hell? I thought, because her husband was there.
Well, that was the other thing. I knew nothing was popping because of she was married.
Well, something was
her husband
popping, but
there.
it wasn't gonna pop for. It was popping, but it wasn't gonna
Yeah,
pop.
you were popping something, Max.
You're
It's-
Oh
popping.
yeah, well that's
Yeah.
all right. I can split wood and deal with it later. But the thing is, I knew I wasn't.
Hey, you should have showed it to her. She would have thought it was cute. She would have been like, "Oh, that's adorable."
Look at your pee-pee. It's really big.
Your
Oh.
pee-pee.
Someone's excited. Who's a big boy?
Could you just put it in your mouth to show me what it feels like? I never had that before.
Yeah, or if you could just have your hand the wrinkly back end of your hand caress the underside of my testicles.
Oh, I'm gonna give it a big kiss.
Oh, that's great. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to thrust my pelvis forward while you kissed it. I thought you were. I didn't. Sorry, I had a knee jerk reaction.
Yeah, no, it was a beef jerk reaction.
Beef jerk reaction.
Yeah, but the point is listen, if you wouldn't do something with a person without any disability, like, why would you do it with a person with disability? What qualifies that level of interaction?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what people should ask themselves is, would I do this with any other person, and why would I do this now?
Well, you know what's crazy? And I remember when I was doing the rape crisis hotline, like, they actually had, this was one of our test questions, dude, about people with disabilities, and it was true or false, people with disabilities have no sexual drive.
What?
Yeah, that was actually a true or false question we had on this test.
Well,
That is hilarious. All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was, I remember that because I was like, what? I was like, what? Why would you even ask? And they're like, no, well, that's a serious myth.
Dude,
that people with disabilities don't have a sex drive.
Yeah, people are people. In fact, actually, I I got a bit of a story about that. There's some friends of my girlfriend, my significant other. All right, and one of them has cerebral palsy. All right.
Oh boy.
Yeah, can't drive. But perfectly cognitive, perfectly decent most of the time. Well, guy has a girlfriend, of course, and ends up cheating on his girlfriend. All right, and then ends up hitting on my girlfriend. At first it started off as innocent things like, "Hey, I need to get to work. Could you give me a ride?"
Oh, one of those fucking disabled people. Oh.
Yeah, no, and my girlfriend's a sweetheart, so of course she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a ride," and they're friends, so they talk and stuff. And then of course he starts creeping on her, like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're so cool," and blah blah blah. And this guy with cerebral palsy was totally throwing shade on my friend while he was still in a relationship with this other girl. And then lo and behold, they found out that he was cheating on her as well. Having a disability has nothing to do with your fucking sex drive or
Hell
Nothing to do
no.
with anything. It's everybody has, like I said before, everybody has disabilities. They're just different for different people and more obvious for some.
Yeah.
Some people suck at math. That's the disability. If you can't add 2 + 2, then you're disabled in math. So or you can't read very well, dyslexic or whatever. You have different. It's not necessarily doesn't make you anything wrong with you, but it does make That's why there's all these labels about I'm differently able.
It's just funny that
Everyone has
shit's
their
always
own
equated
shit.
with your brain. For some reason, a disability always connects back to your brain. You ever notice that?
You're in a wheelchair. You obviously must be retarded, despite the fact that like you're in college and you might have a PhD and whatever. But
People
because
are
your
passing
legs
you.
don't work, your brain doesn't work.
And then there are those fuckers who will prey on that.
You said in that rap, dude. Because I have low eyesight, you think my brain barely functions. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's kind of the thing that fucker was playing off of. That's why I hate that fucker, because he was trying to use that thing as that's like using I'm schizophrenic. It's almost like the same thing. Using so I want you to come to my mental institution and I want you to read to me, and then you fucking hit on me after you whatever. Like
it's like a way to lure people in.
Yeah, it's a pitiful way. Like in a way. In a way, that lady who was sitting on the couch with you was, in a way, doing that. You could have been like, hey, yeah, it's been a long time for me. I try to meet women, but, it's not really. So I was hoping New Year's Eve, like there'd be somebody special here for one night. And, do you have an open relationship just by any chance?
No, and you know what's sick about that, as hilarious as that is Maxwell could certainly do that if he wanted to. If he wanted to debase himself at that level, there are people that would take pity on him that way because they're that fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
Because they're that stupid. I don't know what you look like. Could I feel you?
Yeah, exactly.
And he'd be copping the feel, and this chick would be like, "Oh, he's so adorable."
I feel extremely uncomfortable, or I feel extremely uncomfortable right now. But
I really wanted to, and a lot of those things we go to, think how much pussy I could get from that if I wanted to.
Oh God, you definitely get a lot of sympathy groping. That's for sure.
Well, that's it. If I took that further and was like, hey. What are you doing later? I don't have many friends, and it just would be nice to be able to go out and have dinner with somebody.
I was just planning on listening to a talking book and reading a large braille book that I couldn't hold barely in my hands because
it's so dark in my house.
So
I don't want to be alone.
my TV broke and there's no sound, so all I got to hear are my own thoughts of how inadequate I am. Could you come over?
Actually. Oh, can you come over and put tape on my wall? Dude, that was some shit. Somebody actually said that to me at All Talk. One of the interns, she was like, well, don't you have tape on the corner of your walls? And I was like, why would you say that? And she was like, well, so you don't run into them? Oh, I heard some good ones when I was at All Talk, dude.
Oh, I'm sure. From all the people that were there.
All those interns that were saying dumb shit. So...
I gotta say though, it's funny. I think a reason a lot of this bullshit happens though, is because of the way we are cultured, the way our society handles this stuff. Like I want to piggyback onto something similar. Talking about fat. All right, and I know that sounds weird, but I've been thinking about this lately. All right. We live in a society where you can't say anything about anyone, God forbid.
Yeah.
All right, and you can't even ask them honest questions. And I think a big poster child for that is fat and obesity. All right, like me, I'm obese. I'm very much overweight. All right, and it's not good. It's not beautiful. Okay, like I'm not shaming myself though. All right,
no, you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah. All right, I eat too much junk food. I don't work out enough. I'm fat and overweight. All right, and it's unhealthy. Okay, but while you can talk about people and be like, hey man, you're drinking a lot. It's bothering me. Or dude, you're smoking 2 packs a day. Like what's going on? God forbid you go, hey, you look like you gained a little bit of weight there. You doing all right, buddy? And all of a sudden, the tears and the awkwardness and, oh, my goodness, it's like you just called someone a Nazi. Like, how dare you question their body fitness? Like, and I think I think it's I think that proves just how fucking ridiculous we are with talking with people. Because in a realistic world, if like you could just ask a person, hey, do you need help with this stuff, or how do you want to be treated? And then they'd be like, oh, just fucking, I'll let you know. And then that would be that. But I bet you so many of those people that are SMJ and fucking SMJ all the time, Max.
Right.
I bet you they're so scared of you throwing a fit or a tantrum at them.
That's
part of it.
A genuine
Absolutely.
question, that they treat you like an idiot because they feel like that's the safer option.
Well,
I'm gonna
like
see
we made
these
that
retards
observation
because I don't
at
want
the
them to yell at
TSA.
me.
Remember?
Yeah.
At TSA, remember when the TSA agent was talking to you and he was like, can he walk through the security thing? Or no, it was something ridiculous. Remember, he was like, can he stand by, is he able to stand by himself or something crazy?
Yeah, no, yeah. Is he able to walk himself through? Yeah, no. All this dumb shit, and I just think it's hilarious, and I think that's why the stereotype is perpetuating itself, because people are being raised that way. Other people with disabilities who might be blind or wheelchair bound or whatever end up thinking that way too. They're like, "Oh, don't ever talk about my disability,"
God.
because that's how they've been raised.
It's everywhere.
They don't want to be honest with themselves anymore.
It's
right.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It leads to blindness.
Well, it's funny because the shit, and this is what it leads to, is the things that aren't offensive, people find total offense in, you know what I'm saying? And then the things that, are completely fucking offensive just fly out of people's mouth at will. Like, what's the matter with you? When the lady asked me, my first question to her was, what's the matter with you? Is there something wrong with you? And she's like, well, no. And I was like, well, then why do you see that, I was trying to educate her in the process.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I think part of it is, and going back to the comment about weight, is it's this like it goes back to the self-esteem thing. We just cannot admit that some things are shit you have to work on, because that would imply that you're not amazing and that you're not special and perfect. And in this society, having your feelings hurt is akin to in another society where they're barely trying to survive. Is akin to like not having food that day. Like, oh my God, my feelings were hurt. I'm so drawn it, because they don't have any real problems, because we don't have a lot of real problems. I mean, real problems in life. I mean, there are real problems that we have. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to try to like start sugarcoat. But when your real problem is trying to find yourself, while other people's problem are trying to feed themselves so that they stay alive in their family,
right.
Those people don't have time to worry about the shit we worry about. Those people
Hell.
don't, and those people don't have the time to eat and do the things like drinking too much or smoking too much, because they have to figure out whether do I pay for one Big Mac or 45 ramen noodles to live off of,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a combination of all these things coming together at this time, and all this fear. Like, there are people out there that will consider you racist if you ask them where they're from. Where are you from? Because they're not from, because they might have a different ethnicity. That's racist.
Right.
How is that racist? You're asking them where they're from, because obviously they might be from, I'm from San Francisco. Oh, cool. Or they might say, oh, but that's something wrong. Like, how is that kind of basic question in this society considered offensive? Or even if you're a transsexual person, or transgender. What is that like? No! Don't ask that question. That's offensive. Well, how in the fuck am I supposed to figure out whether I think it's legitimate or even trust you when I can't even say these things to you?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to figure out. You're just supposed to accept. You're supposed to accept
Bullshit.
and look forward and never ask questions.
Listen
or
and
never
believe.
probe or
Listen
prod.
and believe. Just like, it's all this bullshit about, because it's all about it's all about victimhood and identity politics.
No, it's a defensive society. All right, you're supposed to protect yourselves at all costs, including costing yourself reason and logic and
your feelings.
and
Feelings are more
intelligence.
important. Your feelings are now more important, and sentiment is more important than actually having logic. Just like the idea that there are 12 genders. There's no. I'm sorry. There are 2 fucking genders. It's science. It's basic. There are anomalies, just like anything else. But scientifically, sorry. It's like saying gravity is a societal concept. No, you throw something up, it will come down. If it doesn't, it's not because if it doesn't come down, it's not because some oppressive thing was lifted. It's because shit has basic fucking reasoning. Okay, now you can have anything going on in your head. There's different things going on in your brain. That's fine. But the 99.99% or 99.7% of the population are male. They consider themselves male. Are female. They consider themselves female. It's just fucking fact. You can't go around that. But now it's no. That's not fact, because that doesn't make me something. It makes me. It's crazy in this whole thing, and it goes the same thing with the weight thing. People are upset because they can't control their own habits a lot of times, and some of those cases obviously are thyroid issues and other things like that. But a lot of it's like, well, I don't need to control my own habits because I'm special and amazing just as I am, and if you try to break that illusion, then you're offending me, and it's a victim culture. It's all a mess.
Well, it's a complete lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Maxwell, did you want to say something? Me and Cruise Control have been going back.
No. I just, my main thing is just I find it funny that on one hand, like you say anything about race or sexual preference or anything, and they're going fucking nuts, and you need to be educated and blah blah blah. But as I'll just say as a blind person, being blind, whenever you check somebody on treating you wrong or talking to you wrong, then all of a sudden you're the asshole. Well, they meant well. You know what I'm saying? How could you do that? Like, there was a sitch recently, I think, where somebody was on some, they meant well. You can't. That was the thing we talked about last week. Remember? Cruise control?
Somebody was on a bus, and we won't go into the whole story, but it's basically like you can't. To be honest, honesty is just it just gets worse because it goes along with the fact that we can bury ourselves in our fantasy social lives, our constructed social lives, like on Facebook and other things that aren't actually real conversations or talking. And we'll get to that in a second too.
Nice transition, man.
Well, actually, you can go to that now, I guess. But I wanted to go into because I wanted to finish off just a little bit about this trip before we go in.
Let's do that then. Let's finish the trip. We're there.
And then we can get in back because there's also this ties into a story that I need to talk to you about that just broke this evening. It's fucking awful. And I'm just waiting to see what the outlets are going to be because it's the 2017 beginning of the craziness. But anyway, so getting into 2017, so the trip was fantastic, and obviously because you're hanging out with people, at least I was, that I cared about, I felt comfortable with, that I could be like, hey, this is what I can be honest with, and talk about
yourself,
be myself with, and not worry about all this bullshit. And so I just had some just revelations on just the idea of expectation. And then, because I was getting in the habit of expecting and looking forward to something, all right? Because I was looking forward to the trip for a couple of weeks, grinding through the Christmas grind at work, this fucking massive call volume all week. People pissed off because their kid didn't get the present that their parents are using to validate their self-esteem that they're good parents and all bullshit.
Right.
So. Oh God, my kids ruined Christmas. Well, I'm sorry they had to spend time with you the whole time. But anyway, not joking. I wish I was, But the whole expectation of this trip was oh man, I can't wait for this trip. It's gonna be great, and it was a great trip, and it was exactly what I expected it to be. But I got home Monday, man, and fuck. First of all, I woke up Monday morning. I'm like, I'm not feeling too bad. I was like, oh, I'm good. And. Drop the airport, drop me off at home, and I'm going to take a little nap. Oh, boy, did that hangover hit me later on that day. And
it was a delayed
shit,
reaction.
Dude. Because it really wasn't delayed. It was actually the right amount of time. It was just, I was still kind of, hey, that morning. But
that drunken early morning, hey.
You know about that from that one day, yeah. Well, literally I felt terrible, but it was my mind going, God, because it was so intense, and I was so looking forward to that trip that I still felt almost like the habit of, I gotta look forward to, it's over. Like, it's almost like one of my goals this year, not a resolution, but one of my goals after this and thinking about it, is to just kind of let things happen a little bit more and stop trying to build things up to like a point, like a goal, like this is where I need to get to. Focus on now, because when I focused on that whole trip going, it's going to be great, and like I said, it was, but it's almost like a dream because it was so quick, went over so fast, it was like boom, boom. And now I'm like, I'm better. Now it was like that Monday was just like awful. Monday evening, I felt like shit physically. I felt like shit mentally, and that's another thing about the alky hizzy is that it's the mental thing that's just as bad as anything else. But it was coupled with that, and also just the fact that I had such a good time, and it was like, man, I can't get over this weird feeling of, like, even yesterday morning I started working. I'm like, I'll get off today and this weekend. No, just be normal weekend, normal day, normal stuff. No. Folks, and it's kind of sad in a way, and it's an eye-opener, that whole self-awareness thing, that you focus on something that's not happening now, so you're pushing yourself towards something, so it not only does it damage you beforehand because you're not focusing on what's going on in your life right now and what you could be doing, You're focusing on a point ahead of you to get there to enjoy that point. But after the fact, you don't have any left. You're like hanging on, like it's almost like you're an empty void. Does that make sense?
It's because you're trying to speed time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody tries to do that. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. And then before you know it, you go, "Why did this year go by so fast?"
Well, it's not only that. I'm just talking about the void afterwards. Like it's a consequence of after the fact. Because you think after, you're gonna be like, that was just the most satisfying fucking thing in the world, and it is in a way. But in a way, it's like you're left adrift.
Right.
So I just
I think it hit harder also because of how great it was. Like, I don't usually get hyped up for a lot of things, but I kind of went through the same thing, Cruise Control. I woke up Monday morning and I felt horrible. I felt probably worse than I had in at least a few months. Like, and it was this extreme sense of loss. And I think really what happened was, it wasn't that it was over. It was knowing that it wasn't going to happen again for a long time. Because realistically, my life would be a lot better if we took what happened that weekend and we cut it into a third, made that a weekly basis. You know what I mean? Like that connection of being able to hang out every weekend and, listen to music and be there with the people you care about the most. And knowing that you only get to do that as a special occasion, I think is soul crushing, because it's not just hyping yourself up for a big party. It's knowing that you're going to be seeing the people that are the most important to you, and that you're not going to be able to see them again for a while. And that's hard. All right. That's really hard. I came back on Monday, and already I was thinking about planning my other trips to go back to Oregon because of how important it was. Because I wish that could happen every week. Not the partying, not the intense drinking or smoking or none of that shit, but the togetherness, just being able to see everyone's face on a more regular basis,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, I just was sick. I just woke up and I felt like shit, and had nothing to do with the party. I just happened to catch a cold.
Yeah. So you didn't get.
Yeah,
so you didn't have that.
both.
You didn't have that sense of melancholy Monday that much, right? So
You know what? Because the cold fogged that, honestly. And that's kind of what made me feel bad, too, because I'm like, man, I want to come home and remember this trip. I want to, but it's like, God damn it, why did I have to be sick when I came home? Now it totally overshadowed. So that was kind of sad for me, say yesterday even. I was like, damn, man. Because part of the experience is coming home, thinking back to the trip and how it was, and going, wow, man, this is great. And instead I was like, the first thing I wanted to do, I couldn't wait to fucking get home. And I just ate something and then went to sleep for a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the cold kind of fucked it up, even worse for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up, just a thought of it's kind of changed my perspective a bit. Not necessarily that I'm not going to look forward to things. Obviously, I am. But just to push it away, and part of it was because I have a goal now to get past certain things that I've been doing a little bit. So that's like the last hurrah for a while, drinking a little bit, partying too much, and so I was kind of getting to that point. Let's just get there, and I wasn't I was drinking every night before that. I didn't even drink that much. The last year has been really good for that. That's kind of the momentum shift for me has become. That's why I don't have a resolution. I have momentum because I've already been getting into the habits of doing what I'm planning on doing now. This is going to be more intense in that way.
Right.
But it's just the idea of you just kind of live, and it's going to come regardless, and it's going to be fun. But also don't stop. Don't focus on that in spite of other things that you could be doing at the same time.
Gotcha. Hey, can we take a quick break, dude?
A quick break, a pause for you to go piss because you drank so much fucking water.
Dude, I just felt
All right, we're gonna pause this for a bit. We'll be back. We'll be back instantly. Yeah, you won't notice anything out there, and we're not gonna notice the shit either because once again, we're not in the same room. All right, back in a few. So.
All right.
All right, we are unpaused. That was the first. I think that was the first ever actual shit during a show on the Nothing Sacred show.
It was a piss a lot of times. I think we've stopped for pisses.
I think we stopped on accident. I don't know if we've ever actually stopped in the middle of just for you to go drop a fucking a log.
Let me tell you, since I've had this cold too, my stomach's been a little upset. So I've had a lot of diarrhea.
I think that might be some brown sugar going through you, man. Still, man, because I still got my stomach feels glurky from days ago.
At first
I think it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I had solid stools, up until like yesterday, and then I had, my stomach started feeling it a little bit, and I had that acidic feeling in my fucking, chest and stomach and shit, and I'm like, fuck. So, and then like last night I started to have the diarrhea shits, and I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't good. And then today, Kraken, after we went to Subway, I went and, yeah, dude, I had a spray out of the ass shit. I mean, this was straight up, this was like pissing out of your ass, dude. This was liquid. There was nothing solid.
Yeah,
so the shit I just took now actually had some solidity to it.
You sprayed earlier after eating Subway like Jared does on photos of young children. So yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say how poetic it was that Maxwell took such a huge dump, because your show's always so full of shit. It's almost kind of relieving.
Yeah.
Now there's a breath of fresh air on the air.
And and actually you're right. It is kind of poetic because it kind of pissed me off. And you actually haven't had a shit that irks me show for a long time, so that was actually a shit that irked me. Yeah, so
exactly. And by the way, it burned the inside of my asshole. I just wanted to say that, from the stomach acids and shit, And
I'm gonna go jump into my thing, because I know you want to talk about Facebook, but this is gonna relate to Facebook a little bit. I want to bring in because we kind of went through the chronological. We're back here. Everything's back to quote unquote normal. Ye her, right? Yeah. Everything's good, which in a way is cool. And I'm, like I said, I'm really in a good place mentally right now, so it's great. But man, 2017 is going to be fucking interesting and crazy politically, and I want to see what's going to happen with this. There's a story today that just broke. All right, and this afternoon, 4 black people, or 2 black males, 2 black females, kidnapped a white dude. And he may have special needs, but that's not really here or there at this point, because that's just added on. They kidnapped him, all right? And you're going to see this. This is going to be all over the place in the next day or two. I guarantee it. They kidnapped him, and they tortured him on Facebook Live.
Oh, I saw that.
They tortured him on Facebook Live. It's no bullshit. Now they basically like cut open his scalp. You could see his scalp was cut open. He had duct tape over his mouth. He was in a corner.
And these motherfuckers put this shit on Facebook?
and they were saying, say fuck Donald Trump. Say fuck Donald Trump, white boy. And so they brought up his race.
Wow.
They brought up Donald Trump. Now here's what I'm wondering is going to happen in the next couple days. Will this be, as it should be, will this be prosecuted? I'm not a huge hate crime person. I think that's a very subjective thing. It's kind of dangerous to think about hate crimes. That's almost like thought crimes. I think a crime is a crime regardless of who it's against. But since they are on the books and they're being applied in one way, will it be applied in this way? Because it's obviously a hate crime. And if that's the stipulation. If you're going to kidnap, it's also terrorism and torture.
It's not going to be a hate crime. Let's just get that out of the way, okay? And we don't need to spend half an hour ranting on it, because it's just something that's always been true. All right, is right now hate crimes are not recognized against Caucasians. It's just not happening.
Scary as fuck, because
it is.
There are 2 dualities, okay? All right, if there's a crime and the perpetrator's race isn't mentioned, people assume they're black. All right, if there is someone injured and people people don't say they're injured, it's a white person. All right, there's ugly shit happening everywhere. I just want to talk about how horrifying that shit is, though. I even saw a post of the video. I did not watch it because, honestly, while I can see a lot of fucked up shit,
I didn't watch the whole thing. It's sick.
I chose not to watch it on purpose because I just felt that it was just discrediting the person who got such horrific abuse, and it was giving the people who filmed it what they wanted. And
is it on YouTube?
There was a YouTube link. I don't know if it's still up. I don't.
Because Max is like, I'm gonna watch that shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
well,
some popcorn
and I don't hold that against you. But
no,
I gotta say that I think this, and I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but I think this is a portrayal of worse things to come. And I think the powers that be are definitely gonna take advantage of this, and they're gonna use this to spark more hatred
Yep.
and more animosity between all of us
Mm-hmm.
who should be working together. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah, conquer and divide through identity politics. So that's
Yeah,
what
Well, yeah,
fucking
that's what,
it's-
yeah, that shit happened last year with all the police beatings and all that other crazy shit that was going on.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and it's gonna happen this year, and I bet you it's gonna get worse too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more cities or towns go up in flames.
Well, here's the interesting part. Okay, this thing came out about earlier in the day, right? CNN had a small blurb about it. Fox and MSNBC hadn't even mentioned it, and I know this is kind of going into that same kind of. And this is for me. It's more like this is how the mainstream media works, or media works in general. Is they pit people against each other. They are not going. If this was the other way around, holy fuck, it'd be everywhere now. We're talking everywhere. People would be in streets and cities protesting or violence or some shit, or it'd be that point where it's getting everybody riled up. And what that's going to do is that's going to get the people on the quote unquote alt right, or the white people who are feeling like they are being threatened, because it's going to look and actually seem like logically they are, because if this doesn't go and they're just like, oh well, it's just a crime, it's not hate, they can't be racist, that whole shit, it's just going to drive that fucking threatening wedge between even more.
Well, you almost wonder, was the shit staged just to do that?
No, but they had a press conference with the police. They had a press conference that actually talked about it, and the police didn't mention any racism or hate crime in that, because they were still. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, because it's still under investigation, and it's not, nothing's been pressed yet. But
Well,
if it's
pretty
not,
clear cut to me when somebody says, "Hey, white boy, say fuck Donald Trump."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And he had a thing on his
say
mouth.
Fuck Snoop Dogg or
and
something.
I won't get too just to honor people's risks. I won't get too into it. But the guy had a piece of tape on his mouth, and you could hear him screaming because he was scared fucking shitless.
Well, yeah.
And
like I said, I did not watch the video, but there are direct sources that quote that they were cutting him open, and they were using his open wounds as ashtrays for their cigarettes.
Oh, hell no.
Horrific.
Yeah, that's terrorism. That can't be, and it's happening in this country, and it's happening because we have such a divide, and it's just a. I'm sorry, it's raid, man. It's raid. It's reason America is doomed. It's just we're fucked, man. We've let ourselves be divided. We let ourselves be.
What's interesting is being that he's white, how automatically they assume that he was for Donald Trump.
That's how crazy the identity politics are.
That's what a hate crime is. That like you stereotype them, you put them in the spot you want them to, and you punish them for it. All right, like
And like I said before, I mean, this is, for me, it's not that huge of a deal but in a way it is. They say I guess he's a special needs person, so I mean.
Damn.
They said he has I believe it was high functioning Asperger's. So I don't know.
Well, regardless, that's not regardless. I don't think that plays a part, because to deny humanity based, or to give more humanity and more compassion because they have that, in a way cheapens the whole thing, because the whole thing is horrific, regardless of whether it happened to Donald Trump, because I guarantee you, fucking sick people out there be like, yeah, get it. He hasn't done anything legal.
Well, what you're saying is vigilante justice, quote unquote, is disgusting.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it, regardless of who the person is.
And
all right, like if you're posting a video of yourself torturing someone, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't or how wrong they are. You are going outside the system, and you are taking an emotional action against them. It's not right. It is not okay.
Here's even the scarier part about this. They were so confident in being able to video this. And the reason why they were, because they're stupid, obviously, but someone mentioned the video, we're not going to jail. The reason why is because they felt they were immune to this kind of backlash because of their skin color.
Yep. Like, we could do this shit live right in front of your face.
Yeah. We are justified in doing it, and we are righteous in doing it, and we won't go to jail because we can't be racist. We can't do hate crimes. We are justified in what we're doing from all the quote-unquote oppression in the white quote-unquote privilege that guy shows all the white privilege in the world, sitting there. Because he got out of that. His white friends came over and got him out of that situation. Yeah, that's what white privilege does.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that they thought, and that's the scary part too, is that people are going to feel justified in doing this more and more, and it's just going to build more and more tension and animosity, and it's just going to burst and more. It's not a good sign.
It's a tea kettle, dude. It's ready.
Not a good sign.
No, that's why I think this country's fucked. Not because Trump is president. I think Trump becoming president was a catalyst for it. But Trump's not going to destroy this country. We are. We're going to burn this place to the ground, fighting each other because we can't pull our heads out of our asses and try and move forward in a logical way. All right, whoever has been orchestrating this has done their job so well. Okay, we don't even care about looking above at the people above us.
No.
All we do is look at the people in front of us and hate. All right,
Yep.
we hate on skin color, we hate on wealth, we hate on a variety of factors, but it's always the people in front of us, the people who we live with, who live next door, who go to work with us, who service our food, who we serve them. Those are the people we have been taught to hate, and what are we doing? We're listening to that, and we're killing each other for it.
And our perspective
it's horrible.
And our perspective so often and it's social media and the internet and all this technology plays exactly into its hands because.
Well, you ever see that movie Crash with Ludacris?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's pretty much all about just racial tension. You know what I'm saying? And just how it's escalating and shit like that. So this is turning into the movie Crash.
Yeah, and it's happening, and it's just the way people want it. That's why, because it allows the division us to focus on the wrong things and focus on shit like, oh my god, and I know we all have feelings about the celebrities that died in 2016, the 33 celebrities. People die that in a day, dude, during a fucking in most countries, man, just by being shot. Children die a day in that way.
Just last week, this
Turkish.
weekend, the nightclub shooting, 40 people
Boom.
dead
Oh.
immediately, more than celebrities.
Yep,
right,
no one
right
fucking
then and there.
cares because I know they don't impact everyone's lives in a certain way, but we're so focused on celebrity. And if you know, well, that's a different thing, but just a small side effect. If you notice, all the celebrities that had a big impact are the ones that died in the 80s and earlier, because that was when celebrities had to earn their celebrity through talent. Well,
Right.
At the time now, it's just.
Well, it's not like Katy Perry or somebody.
Oh well, no, I'm talking even more basic than that. I'm talking about those two twin kids. You see that thing on with the shelf falling on them? Their parents are going on TV talking about it because of YouTube. God, we're so fucked, man. Oh God, we have no idea what we're doing with the technology. I'm just gonna leave it at. Remember how Sal Brett, I said 2016 was when we actually saw the foundations of our house of the country, like literally saw cracks forming as we watched.
Right.
Well, this year we're going to see pieces of roof fall in on half the house.
Well,
shit's
but
start
here's
really
the
falling
thing,
apart this
and
year.
you don't want to really fucking, because everybody wants to make these precursors of, 2017 starting off shitty already. And it's like,
I'm not talking about personal years. I'm talking about the general. I mean, this is a momentum trend.
Globally, you mean?
Yeah. This is the house in Malibu that's on the side of the rotting mudslide house, cliff. Yeah, and the mudslide is just slowly pulling it down, and there ain't shit that most people can do about it. Making America great again. We need to make America survive. America's changing. It's crazy. But that was
we'll see.
That was my thing, and you had a Facebook thing you want to talk about, right?
Well, yeah. The a funny phenomenon that I've noticed with Facebook is there's some people that I knew them before Facebook. I actually hung out with them. I knew them face to face. Kind of going back to your thing you were talking about a few shows ago, where somebody we both know, has kind of gotten on Facebook. You added them on Facebook, and you're starting to see some sides of them you don't like. And you're like, well, how is this possible? When I hung out with this person, I know pretty much everything there is to know about them, but all of a sudden I'm seeing another side of them, and I see what's in their head now. I see how fucked up they are, as opposed to just being around them and them being able to cover up their actions for, a few hours of hanging out or a few days of hanging out or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like, because, well, that's part of the social media technology thing, is that buffer and barrier where people can be assholes or feel like they can say more because there's really no, I mean, it's a platform for you to because you gotta admit, when you're hanging out with somebody, you're not real all the time. I mean, well, you are.
Well, that's it. That's the point.
You farting and burping at the same, well, not remembering whether you're farting or burping at the same time in front of company, hanging out.
Right. Well, that's it. You hang around these people, and you can cover up your fucked up activity for, a little while. But you're right. When this thing is constantly up someone's ass, they're seeing everything. Mm-hmm. So things you post, other crazy shit. Because you got to admit, there's some people that I've been friends with, like I said, that I knew way before Facebook, that all of a sudden now they're on my friends list. And I see some of the shit they post. And I'm like, I don't like this motherfucker very much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really think they're a dick, and I'd rather them not comment on anything. I'd rather not comment on any of their shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of funny, ironic even, I think, that we as a society we have never been more open and exposed as people. Like in terms of in terms of how what we say is everywhere now, and everyone knows exactly what's going on in your life and what you're doing and what you're thinking.
Right.
Whereas we are at an all-time low of having actual people in our lives. A person's social circle used to include anywhere from 4 to 6 people, close friends, people you had a strong connection with. Well, at this point in time, it's 1 to 2 people. So we are at an all-time low with people who we actually trust and have a close relationship with, while at the same time we are at an all-time high in terms of how everyone knows what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what's going on in your life.
Right. Well, that's what the crazy phenomenon is about this shit. You think, oh, it's social media, it's the computer, it's that, but actually you get to know them better through social media than you do actually just hanging out with them.
No. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you a couple reasons why. Because hanging out with them, it's instant, and it's in a way improv. You're hanging out with them; they have to react to what you're saying instantly to them. Social media, you can take as long as you want to plan what you're going to say it exactly as you want to. Now you might not do that. But see, that's the thing. You have to take it both ways, because you're seeing them and saying, I don't like them, but there must have been a reason why you liked them in the first place. So you're seeing that side of them. So you can't take that side of them. You can't have it both ways. You can't.
Well, you know what? And we were talking before the show a little bit. My new hate bait.
Yeah.
Who I always thought they were kind of fucking stupid anyway. But that's this chick who's on my Facebook that has been a little bit of a pain in my ass. Well, not a pain in my ass, just kind of, being a little devil's advocate. Well, no, I don't want to say, just, argumentative with me on Facebook. And maybe she's looking at me like, damn, I'm actually not, I don't like this motherfucker anymore.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it goes both ways. But I didn't mean it goes both ways in that way. I meant you can't judge somebody on how you used to know them and say, oh, that person's really cool, and then see their social media side and go, oh, I hate this person now, when you used to think they're cool. Because you're doing the same thing either way. You're either judging them on how they are around you, which is actually more important in my way, in my mind. Or you're judging them on a social media site where they might not put as much importance in that as you are, whatever. So it's kind of like you got to kind of walk that line on that one, in my opinion.
Well, it's just you see sides of them you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You're like, wow, dude, you're a fucking another guy.
Well, that's a case in any case, because you don't really see them as they really are when you're around them anyway. A lot of people anyway.
Well, that's it. I guess that's my whole point. That, just because you're hanging out face to face, it always isn't telltale.
Yeah, I guess that kind of goes. Yeah, it kind of fits that way. But you see that, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about hanging out with people, and you talking about the lack of people we trust. Kraken is that when you were around this weekend, we were all around people that we knew. Like we were saying, we knew these people were going to be who they were and genuine. And then you come back to 500 friends who post, who just bombard you with all this shit, and it's like you're missing something more that you may have had previously without the social media in that area. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe one of the reasons I was so had my expectations is because I knew for that brief amount of time I was going to be around and with and interacting with that person face to face. Instead of actually just being, on seeing all these people just posting all this shit.
Well, and you get so many motherfuckers. Like you said, 500. I wouldn't say I have 500 friends in life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they're not. None of you. 99% of these people are barely. I mean, they're your friends, they're acquaintances, but that's all they are.
Right. Exactly. Like if you went through your friends list on Facebook, and you went through all, everyone on there. How many of those people can you really honestly say, I can trust that person? They're my real friend.
I can count the number of those people on both of my hands.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the point.
I already know them in my head. I can name them to you right now.
and me too. And that's what's crazy is like, damn, you may have so many friends on Facebook. I mean, like, in what we're doing here, the show, if people want to add that page, I understand, but on my personal page, I only really add I try to only add people I know at least somewhat, maybe even if it's just an acquaintance.
Yeah.
But, and Kraken saw this. We were at a networking event, and somebody got all ass hurt because they sent me a friend request and I didn't recognize them. And I told her, I said, I don't add people I don't know. I'm sorry. And she's like, but you do know me. And I'm like, somewhat. I don't really remember you. And remember that, Kraken?
Oh yeah, no, I remember it. I remember it completely. And honestly, it's one of my major problems with social media. Like, there's a lot of posts I make that I have to hide people from my posts, which is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to hide anyone on my social media feed from stuff I'm going to say, but I do because a lot of the people on my social media feed aren't people I really want to be honest with or people I feel comfortable actually sharing my thoughts with. Mm-hmm. I hate social media. I'm 24 years old and I can't stand it. Honestly, I don't think it's brought people closer together. If anything, I think it's increased our level of anxiety and our lack of ability to be meaningful with people. I want to keep that ability to communicate with anyone everywhere, but I really hope over the course of the next few years that we go back to a more private form of life where we're not sharing absolutely everything. We have the ability to connect with anyone anywhere, but we're developing more meaningful relationships, and we're not constantly spouting bullshit on this one single venue.
I don't think so, dude.
I know. I know it's probably not going to be that way, but I don't like it. I think it's gross. I actually almost think it's almost like some kind of it creates like this mental deformity.
Yeah, it is insanity. It's sort of insanity, and that's where I have always gone with that. Is that we have no idea what this technology is doing with us. I'm telling you, Kraken. If you check my if you haven't read it already, read this book called The Shallows. It doesn't go into too much detail, but it just basically tells you how this media is changing our minds literally right now as we speak. Our attention spans are vastly shorter than they used to be 10 years ago.
Yeah, we've advanced. We have technology has advanced beyond mankind. We have yet to catch up to it, and the gap's only getting farther.
And we're not doing ourselves any favors by like you said, spreading all this out. Like Facebook over the last 2 months and just social media. I don't use Twitter. I tried Twitter for a week or so during I think it was during Gamergate a couple years ago when there was just a bunch of shit going on. It was interesting. But man, I couldn't stand it. I fucking hate it. I just can't. I can't get on there, man. That shit's awful. Just like
I really don't. I stick with Facebook.
And even Facebook,
I have
is just
a Twitter.
Like, God, especially since November. I mean, my kid came crying into my room because of Trump's win. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why is your kid crying? Good God! Just to hold all this whole crazy shit that just bombarded with shit over and over and over again. And it's and you're also being bombarded by false things of false realities of people's lives. Oh, we're this is me and Johnny at the house, and they're sitting there spending, in a pool, swimming together. No one tells you, of course, after the picture that the woman who
Johnny gets his head slammed through the wall.
Head slams to the wall, because they had a big fight. And so it's like we get a false perception of reality. We get a false perception of people. We don't trust people as much.
Then you post something and the other person gets mad, and why did you put that on Facebook? And blah, 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 blah. And, then you're getting shit. That's the other thing. There's always backlash to shit you post and things you say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
like one person actually made the smart decision to unfriend my Maxwell page because they were like, I just don't like some of the stuff you post. And I was totally cool with that. I was like, you know what? Our friendship means more to me than that fucking shit. So if you want to drop my Maxwell page, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, of course, because you understand what that is, and you understand how that goes. So,
absolutely.
So maybe there's a spark of hope in the world. Kraken, do you have anything? I know we've kind of been monopolizing the subjects, but did you have any specific you wanted to talk about tonight?
No, not necessarily. I've just, like I said, I'm just a guest here, so I've just been enjoying adding my own input to what you guys are talking about. Only thing I just kind of want to jump back to is because I think sort of the overall topic of tonight seems to be about behavior and about self-awareness. So I guess I'll just go back to that for a moment and just say that like it's okay to have problems. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part of being human. And I don't mean that in like a lovey gooey kind of like, oh, you're beautiful. It's not about that. It's about empowering yourself through knowledge. I'm gonna go back to my weight really quick, just to prove something. I've been overweight and pretty. I've been obese pretty much since I was 15, 16 years old. That was when it really got bad. But it's funny how you can say like, oh yeah, no, I'm not in denial. Yeah, I'm heavy or whatever. But you don't really get it until you really start confronting the things that scare you. All right. I never wanted to look at how much I was eating because I thought it was about restricting. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be one of those pussies that looks at what I'm eating. I'll just moderate my diet. How do you moderate it if you don't know what the fuck you're eating? You know, and I'm not gonna weigh myself because I'm sure I'll be fine. And like, no, it's fear. It's fear and it's shame. And I understand where people are coming from when they don't want to face that because it seems so frightening. And at first, it's hard. All right, like when I over the past few months, I've been looking at myself closely, and I did. I felt scared, and I felt a little disgusted because I'm like, wow, I honestly had no idea how bad things got. But here's the thing: when you start to educate yourself about the things you were in denial about, like I've been doing research just about body weight and about fitness and about emotional issues with overeating and stuff. I don't feel scared anymore. In fact, I feel empowered. And it's not because it's like, oh, I'm going to lose 120 pounds and I'm going to become a beautiful person and I have this resolution. No, it's not about any of that. I'm not going to be posting about this on social media feeds. I'm not going to be broadcasting any of this because that's not what this is about. What it's about is when you identify those things you are so scared of in yourself and you actually start to learn about them and you start to recognize them as real things, you will feel so much better, honestly, because you'll actually know what to do to take steps against it. And that's the scariest thing is you don't think you can. You don't think you can take steps against the things that bother you the most, but it's possible. And it feels amazing once you realize that, hey, this is my problem. I recognize it. I see it. All right, and I'm gonna try and do something about it.
And it goes with that, with kind of the way that tying it back into a little bit what we were talking about tonight with social media and everything is that there's so many ways to mask that and to hide from that shit. Because you can always say, oh well, I'm this. This is why I act this way. Well, I'm that. Well, so what? So what if you are? It still doesn't mean you don't have to change yourself. I am perfect the way I am. No, you're not. If you're saying that, then there's something you're telling yourself. You're a little bit you doth protest this too much, but like you're talking about, the fear is always harder when you don't not necessarily know what it is, but you don't see it fully. Because when you switch on that light in the closet when you're a kid and you see that monster you thought was a monster is really just a fucking bear in the corner.
It's a broom with a coat on it.
Exactly. Right. Then you're like, okay, it's still scary, but I know what I'm aware of, and I know what I have to deal with. And
it's an awareness and how you react. Did you see Jerkman's video, by the way, today?
Not recent. No, I didn't see that.
Oh, he posted something today about people. The main cause of your problems is how you react to them. You know what I'm saying? And you get worked up over the shit. Like today, I was getting a few collection calls. I didn't answer them, but there were strange numbers, and I'm like, oh, God damn it, I'm gritting my teeth and fucking corporate bastard. Then I'm like, wait a minute. All you do is just don't answer the goddamn phone. Why get worked up? Just that's what it is. So if you allow it to control you and you allow it to, be a big center of your fucking life, then it's going to be. But as long as you're, like you were saying, aware of it and what it's going to do and you know how to control it, then, hey, knowledge is fucking power, man, and roll with it.
And I got, like other people in our lives that we know, they're realizing that too. and they're realizing that they can't. Just like even you yourself, Max. Like early this year, I was just very frustrated for a while because I thought you are not going to fucking give that goddamn CPAP machine back. You fucking idiot.
You mean when I
it's
first
not
got
working correctly. Oh, it's helping me feel better every day, but I'm like, how the fuck could you even consider that when you feel so much better? Now you'd be like, oh my god, what was I, a fucking moron? But
the thing was, and it was all because of a stupid little strap.
I know, and that's what I'm point. It's all because of a stupid little strap, but it's also your fear of having to do something different every night and having to try something different and do something different. You were limiting yourself.
My thing is, I felt everything was exhausted. Like, well, what else could I do? I wasn't thinking beyond the realm of possibility. I thought I exhausted everything. I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, you felt cornered. You felt like there was no option. All right,
right.
And that's what people get themselves into, and it's not, and it's not just with substances, it's not just with food, or alcohol or drugs. It's with everything. All right. Mm-hmm. If you find a problem with yourself, that is fucking awesome. That is so cool. You just recognize something that has been plaguing you for who knows how long. Do you realize how amazing that is? People shouldn't be upset at that. People should be embracing it. If you realize you were a dick and you did something wrong, that's awesome. That means you get to rectify it. Mm-hmm. That means you know how to change things.
Well, that's it. Correcting the behavior is the big thing. Yeah. If you know how to do that, know.
Absolutely.
But you have to figure out what the problem is before you can correct it. And like you said, that's switching that line on and facing your fears and seeing, all right, this is what I need to do, and I need to do it now. And there's no bullshit, no excuses, no, well, I was stressed out this week or that, because that's all just your mind trying to get you back to where you are. And there's also that point where we all do it, especially now in this is in how our world is what's the fucking point, right?
Yeah.
What's the fucking point of doing that if you're not religious, or even if you are? Well, I'll tell you what the point is. The point is the last 3 days of the new year. That's the fucking point. That's why you do it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to.
Yep.
Or you're gonna miss out.
And just don't do it for the year. Do the shit all the time.
Well, I'm just saying the point is the experience that you have with other people and feeling in that trust, but also that it's a self thing. Because when you feel good about yourself, even if you're having a shitty day at work, you can still get by because you're like, oh well, I feel good. I'm good. Happy. Right. I guess that's a personal thing. But my point is. And I know exactly what you're talking about, Colin. It's facing that and realizing, hey, I figured out the problem, because a lot of the times you don't know what the problem is, so you can't fix it. And until you figure out what the problem is, then that's when you can actually figure out how to fix it, because obviously you can't fix a problem that you don't know exists, or you don't know what the reason for the problem is.
Exactly. Here's the thing. If you discover a fault within yourself, something you just realize you're struggling with, you should never feel ashamed of it. It doesn't matter how bad it is or how far it's gone. All right, you shouldn't feel ashamed. You should be proud that you recognize it. And I don't mean proud in the sense that everyone's using proud of their problems these days, where it's like, oh, it's a badge. Oh my god, I'm unique. This problem's mine and it's beautiful. No, not that fucking bullshit, okay? That is complete garbage, okay? You should feel proud because you found a way to better yourself. You found a way to become more of who you are. And that is something to be proud of, okay? Because when the more stuff you can find within yourself to better, the better you're gonna be. All right, you shouldn't take your wounds and wear them as a badge of honor. You should take your wounds and be happy that you have them, so you can fix them.
Dude, that was a great way to end the show off, man.
I think that's just the way to do that, man. I think because we were all talking about kind of doom and gloom and other things, but that's the way to look at it, and that's the way you have to. Yep, it's a never-ending thing, man. It's a never-ending process, but that's what we're here for, in my opinion, is to.
It's to learn, man.
Is to learn and enjoy the trust and all that, and I've really enjoyed the time, man. So, Kraken, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, thank you for having me, Maxwell, and Cruise Control.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll be back once again. This is the Nothing Sacred Show for the 4th of January, 2017. I am Cruise Control.
I'm Maxwell Silverhammer,
and I am Kraken.
And that's the story there, bitches! Oh, we always fuck that up because we don't have timing right.
Have a kick-ass New Year.
We will. Next, that's the Nothing Sacred Show. Happy New Year, 2017.
Oh, yeah.